Thank you, Dan. Good afternoon. Once again, it feels like we're still in the grip of midwinter here, but the reality is the games are running out and the bottom three are at risk of becoming detached from the rest of the championship. So Blackpool need to start winning, but they face a Bristol City team who haven't lost a league game at Ashton Gate since Boxing Day. A reminder of the two teams once again, two changes for the Robins. Andreas Weimann and Anis Mehmeti come in for Matty James, who is injured, and Sam Bell. It is O'Leary in goal, Tanner, Viner, Pring and De Silva, Sykes, Scott and King in midfield, Weimann, Wells and Mehmeti in attack. One change for Blackpool looks to be an attacking one, with Kenny Dougal dropping down to the bench. He is on 9 yellow cards, so does risk a 2-game ban with another one in this game. Gary Medine comes into the starting lineup, so it looks like two strikers in attack, Medine alongside Jerry Yates. Maxwell in goal, Gabriel, Nelson, Thornley and Thompson the back four, Bowler, Connolly, Carey and Garbett in midfield, Yates and Medine in attack. And David Connolly presides at the bottom of the championship. So many of them have been down there for so long this season, but now reality is dawning. If they don't get themselves into gear very quickly, the grim reality of life in the lower divisions is beckoning.
Yes, and look, there's a litany of huge football clubs relegated from the Championship now in League One, although a lot of them this season are actually having a great season and look like they might be coming back up, but nonetheless, Blackpool, Huddersfield, Wigan, they know that they're in for a real battle. And obviously, you know, the form of the likes of QPR and teams like that, you know, just getting sucked into it a little bit. Look, there's still plenty of games left, 11 games left, make no mistake, 12 for some, and you know, but it's a big week for a lot of those clubs down, as Mick McCarthy is saying. A 3-game week can be massive. You know, get some points on the board, a couple of victories, suddenly that table can look an awful lot better.
Our referee is Darren Bond. He was in charge the last time Blackpool won away from home at Coventry on the 29th of October. It's been that long, and overall only one win in 18 games. It's been a dismal run at the Seaside, and it needs to come to an end very soon if Blackpool are to have any hope of prolonging their stay in the Championship. And their team choose to take the knee before kick-off here at Ashton Gate, and there was applause from a number of the Bristol City players, and it's Bristol City in their red shirts with the white pinstripe, white shorts and red socks, who get another big football Saturday underway across the Talksport network, and here on the home of the EFL, Talksport 2. Relegation matters are the foremost here at Ashton Gate. Bristol City with basically nothing to play for, but Blackpool with so much on the line over the next 10 games or so, and they are playing from left to right in the first half in dark blue, and Gary Medine, who's only just come back into the side, already looks to have a nasty injury following a collision on this near side with Cameron Pring.
Well, this looks a bit worrying, because as soon as he made contact, it looked like maybe Cameron Pring faked to play the ball down the line, turned out to go back to his goalkeeper. Gary didn't read it, but it seemed to be maybe a little clash on the knees, and I don't know, maybe his foot got stuck in the turf, but as it is, he's right on the sideline getting treated, and immediately was banging the turf with his hand, indicating that he's in a lot of pain here. Fingers crossed this isn't as bad as it looks, but this is certainly worrying for him.
Well, he's spread-eagled across the touchline on this near side, but Darren Bond, the referee, has stopped playing. Mick McCarthy, in his very thick coat and tracksuit bottoms, just paces towards the edge of his technical area. Alongside him, Nigel Pearson, taking charge of his 600th game in club management here today. 2 years in charge of Bristol City. Only Mark Robbins and Gary Rowett have been in charge for longer in the Championship, which tells you about the relatively short shelf life of managers at this level. And of course, Mick McCarthy has now gone well beyond 1,000 games in management in every single division and the international scene with the Republic of Ireland. But he's taken on a massive job here to try and revive a Blackpool team currently 6 points adrift behind Cardiff towards the bottom end of the Championship table, and they've not picked up a point away from home since Boxing Day, a 1-1 draw at Hull, and they've lost the 5 games since. And Medine is still receiving treatment here. Looks to be to the left hamstring. And it's Nigel Pearson who's actually gone across to have a word with him, the opposition manager.
That's his knee. They're looking at his knee there. I mean, that is the concern, I think.
Must have been an impact injury.
There's no one really, stripped, ready to come on yet for Blackpool. So both sides have got a couple of balls out on the pitch, keep him warm. And he might have just caught his, like I said, maybe caught his boot in the turf. And often they're the worst ones. Fingers crossed it's not anything as serious as that.
Well, the clock is showing 3 minutes played here at Ashton Gate, but we've barely had 30 seconds of playing time due to this long injury delay. Still goalless over on Talksport between Bournemouth and Liverpool in the Premier League. Full commentary on that game available over on Talksport. Download the Talksport app and you can swipe between the two commentaries currently underway. Also in the Championship today, Birmingham play Rotherham. That's a big game towards the bottom. The bottom side, Wigan, are at the top side, Burnley. Coventry meet Hull. Preston against Cardiff. Queen's Park Rangers against Watford. Watford under new management yet again. Reading play Millwall. Sheffield United against Luton is a big game towards the top. Middlesbrough go to Swansea and West Brom play Huddersfield. And after prolonged treatment of 3 minutes there, Gary Medine is back on the field of play.
Well, that's a surprise, isn't it? I mean, look,
but very quickly, I think he's waved towards the bench and he'll be coming off.
Yeah.
And now Mick McCarthy is just waiting, but Medine was quick to give a signal towards the bench. Now he's down on his haunches, hobbling towards the halfway line, and I don't think there's any way he can continue here. Bristol City knock it long on the far side, but Jordan Thornley will shepherd it out of play, and it will be a goal kick. And that injury and that delay has really sucked any atmosphere out of the game right at the very start, and Medine is now hobbling across towards this near side.
Yeah, that's a real blow, because Mick would have set his side up, two up top to really take the game to Bristol City, and playing two strikers to lose one. He hasn't even touched the ball so early in the game is a real blow. It will be a rethink in terms of what they do here, and obviously very unfortunate for Gary Medine.
Well, he's gone down again, Medine, and it's the right knee which is creating the issue. And the player who was selected for this match in a change of shape, two strikers, will be going off having not actually touched the ball, and Blackpool are already readying a change. And it's one of the youngsters, Morgan Rogers, who will be coming on. He was signed on loan from Manchester City in January, and he was on loan in the Championship with Bournemouth at the other end of the table last season. And they're not risking Kenny Dougal because he is in danger of picking up a 2-game ban with another yellow card, and Medine gets a handshake and a consolation pat from Mick McCarthy, and he's gone straight down the tunnel, and Morgan Rogers comes on to replace him. So Mick McCarthy's early game plan has been torn up within seconds.
Well, it seems like he's going light for light, because Rogers, has played all across the front, mostly as a winger. That's where he came through his City anyway, but looks like he's going to operate down through the middle.
And Blackpool are playing 4-4-2 at the start of this game, as they've given the ball away deep inside their own half, but it's quickly won back by Thornley, who just slips as he plays it wide towards the far side, and Carey. Now it's left for Garbutt, a long ball forward from him, looking for Yates over his head, and it bounces into the arms of Max O'Leary. 6 minutes on the clock here at Ashton Gate on a grey, very cold day in the West Country. Grey clouds overhead. There were one or two spells of sunshine before kick-off, but it's very grey and very cold now. And there is almost an end-of-season feel about this game among the home supporters. Ashton Gate is far from full, a number of empty red seats. There is a loyal knot of Blackpool supporters huddled together for warmth in the Atio stand away to our left-hand side. Maybe 300 or so have made the journey for a Saturday lunchtime kick-off. It's a long journey down from the West Lancashire coast to the Avon Gorge, as it's a throw-in for Blackpool, conceded on this near side. Now an opportunity for Bristol City to try and attack with Mehmeti. and his cross into the penalty area is deflected behind by Gabriel, and it will be the game's first corner to the home side.
Yeah, he did well there, Jordan Gabriel. Kept his eyes on the ball, knew Mehmeti was going down the line, ensured the cross didn't come in. Just looking at Bristol City, I mean, they had their best chances against Huddersfield from corners. Those set pieces, the best chance of the game, really. Andy King should have scored, but they are pretty small. No Callas, Atkinson, etc. So they always do this, take things short and try and be bright and clever.
Alex Scott does take the corner short, and now it's lofted high by De Silva towards the far post, and it was poked towards goal by Andy King, and it was gathered well by Maxwell.
Yeah, probably, if he wasn't as much on the stretch, he would have had a decent chance of scoring there. Another opportunity at the back post, as I said, had one against Huddersfield. That was a similar sort of situation, really, just at full stretch, couldn't get a clean contact.
8 minutes played at Ashton Gate on Talksport 2. Bristol City 0, Blackpool 0 in the Championship. Bristol City, the epitome of a mid-table season, really. 11 wins, 12 draws and 12 defeats, 43 goals scored and 43 against. But a good recent run here at home, 3 wins and 2 draws since their last defeat against West Bromwich Albion back on Boxing Day. And that's their best unbeaten run at home since November of 2019. But they are 10 points adrift of the top 6. And they have finished 19th and 17th since the arrival of Nigel Pearson. The first season was really a job just ensuring they stayed up after inheriting a difficult situation, although they may improve on this 2 finishes this season, not by too much.
Well, just looking at Bristol City, ball's been bouncing around in the air a little bit. They've settled it down now, got it on the grass. Mick McCarthy just called to his players from back to front. That's what we're doing, because they're trying to play out from the Blackpool. Bristol City are pressing them hard. Mick's just gone, no, scrap that, at the back, lads, go back to front. That's why we got a front 2. So I imagine we'll see a bit more of a direct game from Blackpool from now on.
And a clearly defined 4-4-2 from Blackpool in this game now, with Rodgers alongside Yates in attack. And Scott just slips again as he tries to pass the ball across the field. It was almost given away, and then it was given away. Blackpool tried to work the ball across the field, but in the end Garbett ended up heading into trouble, and he commits a free kick, and an opportunity now for Bristol City to try and build midway inside the Blackpool half.
He just needed a picture in his mind there, Garbett, as he got the ball. Left footer coming in field. He didn't really know what was on his inside shoulder or his outside shoulder. Lost possession. Just got to play forward a little bit quicker.
9 minutes played at Ashton Gate, 0-0. Alex Scott, who has played more minutes in the Championship than any other teenager so far this season, he takes the free kick wide towards this near side, and De Silva finds Mehmeti, the player signed from Wickham in January. Now Scott again, square and wide to the far side, and Sykes. And Bristol City having to play the ball in front of Blackpool at the moment, and Tanner in the end has given the ball away, and it's run clear on the far side by Thompson, but he's quickly challenged by Tanner at the second time of asking, and it will be a throw into Blackpool just inside their own half on the far side. Blackpool with 1 win, 3 draws and 4 defeats in the league since the arrival of Mick McCarthy, and that 1 win came at home against Stoke by 1-0. But they've found it difficult to score goals and keep clean sheets at the other end, which is never a good combination, although they were the first team to stop Burnley scoring for 32 Championship games in that goalless draw at Bloomfield Road last week. Nelson plays it forward now, and Morgan looks to spread it wide towards the left-hand side, and Thompson. Morgan Rodgers continues his run towards the edge of the penalty area, and in the end it's guided back towards O'Leary, who clears downfield for Bristol City again. But Blackpool quickly win it back. Garbett plays a 1-2 with Yates. Garbett now looking for support down the left-hand side, and he's found it from Thompson, who just has to check back due to the pace of the pass. Now Carey back towards Garbett again, but in the end it breaks down for Blackpool, but they do win a throw-in. And they're playing 2 strikers, David, but they're finding it very difficult to get the ball into the area.
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers, he'll offer them a little bit of a different threat. He's, I think, more powerful than Gary Medine. Maybe not quite as adept in the air, but he's a willing runner. He's always on the move, looking for the ball, and he's got involved already in the game. So, I mean, the loss of Medine will be tough to take for them, but Rodgers a different proposition for Bristol to handle. Just looking at Bristol City, whenever they won a free kick a minute ago, nice and bright, didn't just pump it in the box, took it short, working Blackpool all across the pitch, and they've started well, Bristol City.
Now Jerry Yates on this near side, Bowler with a good ball down the line, and the cross into the near post from Gabriel, but it was a simple claim for Max O'Leary.
Yeah, far too close to him. Got to try and aim it away, at least get right under the ball. When you get to the byline like that, if you're trying to dink it, you've got to get right under the ball, make sure you clear the near post, aim it towards the far. He doesn't, straight into the arms of the Bristol City goalkeeper.
Blackpool with only 2 points in their last 9 games away from home, and they have had so many issues in scoring goals during this very poor run of only 1 win in 18 games. They failed to score in 9 of those games, and they've rarely given themselves an opportunity to win games, but they're playing a Bristol City team who have failed to score themselves in their previous 3 games. Their 12-match unbeaten run, 6 wins and 6 draws, was ended here by Manchester City in the FA Cup. Since then, a 2-0 loss at Cardiff last week in the 7-side derby, and then a goalless draw at Huddersfield. But they're moving forward now with Sykes wide on the far side, the right, 3 inside the penalty area waiting for the cross. Sykes delivers it very deep. Vyman with the acrobatic volley, but he was never quite set for it, and he shinned it high over the crossbar for a goal kick.
Oh, that was a lucky, good move. Ball up to Nike Wells, hits it round the corner to Andy Vyman, spins it out wide to Sykes, and they both then bust their gut to make the box. And in contrast to Gabriel, maybe for Blackpool, got to the byline, didn't get under the ball and didn't get to the pack post. Sykes does. Brilliant cross in. They just couldn't quite direct it on target with a shot, but good move there from Bristol City.
14 minutes played here. Bristol City 0, Blackpool 0 in the Sky Bet Championship on the home of the EFL, Talksport 2, but we did have a lengthy injury delay before kick-off, or just after kick-off rather, when Gary Medine picked up an injury which saw him forced off in the opening seconds. It is still Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 0. That game is live over on Talksport this afternoon, and following us at 3 o'clock here on Talksport 2, Spurs against Forest, live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Ian Danta and Alvin Martin. Game day live with Adrian Durham, with all the goals as they go in. He's at the King Power Stadium for Leicester against Chelsea. And more championship action on Talksport tomorrow, noon kick-off, Norwich against Sunderland with Joe Shannon and Dean Ashton. And then more commentaries coming up in the week. On Tuesday night on Talksport 2, it is Middlesbrough against Stoke. And then on Wednesday night, Real Madrid against Liverpool in the Champions League will be on Talksport. And on Talksport 2 and the Talksport app, you can hear Southampton against Brentford and Brighton against Crystal Palace. Neither of those games are on live TV, but they both will be available on the Talksport network. A long clearance downfield from Chris Maxwell for Blackpool. It's headed infield towards this near side where Viner is there to head the ball away, and now Bristol City can look to break on this near side with Mehmeti, and he will take on Curtis Nelson, but in the end coming across to make the challenge is Gabriel, and now Gabriel just pulled up, seemed to clutch his hamstring as he made that challenge, and now he's hobbling as well.
Yeah. I mean, good run there from Mehmeti. I think he's been really bright for Bristol City. Whenever he's got the ball, he's looked to be positive, take his man on. They needed 2 players on the cover there.
Scott with a cross into the penalty area. Thornley rising to head the ball away. And now Josh Bowler with his hair tied back by an Alice band plays it forward for Blackpool towards the halfway line, but it's cut out by Viner. And now Scott for Bristol City, wide towards the far side, and Sykes. Vyman makes the run to the near post, but the cross is deeper than that, and Gabriel rising to head the ball clear. Now De Silva, and an opportunity for Vyman to clip the ball into the penalty area, but it's claimed on the bounce by Chris Maxwell. And neither goalkeeper has really had a shot to save so far. Different story at Bloomfield Road earlier this season. It finished in a 3-3 draw. Blackpool were twice ahead in that game, but had to rely on an added time equaliser. And they've not lost against Bristol City since September of 2009. And Tom Ince and Kevin Phillips scored the goals when they were last victorious here back in 2012. but that was their last meeting for nearly a decade as Blackpool headed towards the Premier League and then very quickly down the divisions, and Bristol City had basically stayed where they were.
Well, both teams have got to improve on their final ball. We saw Naki Wells just trying to pick out Andy Vyman in the box, overhit straight through to the goalkeeper, and Jordan Gabriel at the opposite end again trying to feed it through to the front men, and he puts it straight into Maxwell Leary's arms. So certainly the quality around the final third from the supply lines has got to be better.
17 minutes played, Bristol City 0, Blackpool 0 here on Talksport 2. Blackpool, like the other two members of the bottom three, Huddersfield and Wigan, 6 points adrift of safety. Cardiff are currently just above the safety line. They're at Preston today, and then Birmingham and Queen's Park Rangers are a further point ahead of them, but at the moment they have security of a fairly healthy cushion and the knowledge that none of the sides in the back three are really putting too many wins together. Now De Silva back towards Alex Scott again, and we spoke about him before kick-off, David, and you can see he's 19 years of age, but basically he is already the heartbeat of this Bristol City team.
Absolutely, and he obviously benefiting from playing regularly, right? You know, in the Championship, maybe if he'd had a different route to the top, might have been a little bit different, might have been bouncing around on loan as it is. Plenty of games under his belt now.
Now Yates brings the ball down under control on the edge of the Bristol City penalty area. Back towards Rodgers, but the ball wide towards this near side, and bowler is cut out by De Silva. Now Callum Connolly, wearing number 2, but playing at the heart of the Blackpool midfield. Back towards Thornley, who's got time to assess his options and bring it forward. Looks to find Yates, but it's cut out by Scott, and Bristol City can quickly break here. Vyman with an intelligent run down the right-hand side. He's got Naki Wells waiting in the centre. Vyman with a low ball in towards Wells, but an excellent challenge by Curtis Nelson, lunging in before his goalkeeper to send the ball spiralling behind for a corner.
I tell you, Curtis Nelson did really, really well there. Dug his teammate out with a terrible ball into midfield, but what he did, he stayed in the box, you know, stayed centrally, didn't go and commit himself, and he had an eye. He knew he was outnumbered, but terrific defending, waited for support to come back and help, and it did, and in the end he cleared the danger well. Terrific defending from Curtis Nelson.
19 minutes played, a corner kick to Bristol City on the far side, and once again they have sent all the big men forward, everybody back inside the Blackpool penalty area defending this set piece, and it's an in-swinger. Maxwell comes and then fists the ball clear. It's gathered again by Mehmeti down the right-hand side. He's got support from De Silva. Now Mehmeti again will try and take on Garbutt. The early cross into the penalty area. Everybody for Blackpool just seemed to wait, and in the end Nelson had to head the ball away, only a couple of yards in front of his own goal. It was a good ball in, and now another opportunity. Mehmeti with a weaving run into the penalty area, jab towards goal by Vyman. It's cleared as far as King and fired back in by Sykes, and it's high over the top, and that chaos inside the Blackpool penalty area doesn't result in the opening goal.
No, it all comes from Mehmeti again, who was operating on the left, but with the corner ended up on the right hand side and put in two brilliant balls. You know, one low, fizzed across the box, another one just high in the air. The goalkeeper Maxwell couldn't come for it, and he's been, as I touched on a few minutes ago, he's been really, really good so far.
Chris Maxwell will clear downfield, only 5 clean sheets in 22 games for him. As Bristol City get a free kick for some pushing on this near side, and Andy King, who was once a Premier League title winner with Leicester City, will take it. Of course, he's well known to Nigel Pearson. He came through at Leicester and was part of the side which was promoted into the Premier League under him. Now Sykes with a cross in for the right-hand side, nodded clear by Thornley, controlled by King, urged to shoot by the crowd, but King plays an excellent ball wide towards Sykes again, but the low cross into the near post is blocked by Thompson. It's another corner.
Yeah, brilliant ball, was it, from Andy King, encouraged to shoot by the crowd, but obviously he's, a good 30 yards out. He's not going to shoot from there. Picked the right pass, split the back unit into Sykes to the byline, and a good play again from Bristol City. I mean, you mentioned a bit, I mean, they're not that big, Bristol City. This is the issue with the corners. You know, they've got good delivery, good service, but they aren't the biggest.
De Silva will take the corner kick in towards the 6-yard area once again. Naki Wells challenging for the header, rather looped up into the air, and it's claimed by Maxwell. Bristol City do have a lengthy injury list, 6 recognised first teamers out before this game. You can add Matty James to that list as well, and players like Thomas Callis at the back are among those, as there was a slip on the halfway line from Callum Connolly for Blackpool, and as he went down he grabbed hold of the ball and concedes a free kick.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to the height of set pieces, might not be the biggest, but what they do have with the likes of De Silva is great delivery, excellent ball in. Just coming back to Blackpool, Maxwell claims the corner, and you think, right, you've been under a little bit of pressure, what are you going to do? Settle down and get your team up the pitch? No, he tries an early delivery to put Rodgers in. It's not a great kick, and they're back under pressure again, Blackpool. Maybe just settle down there, Maxwell.
Now Nelson heading back towards his own goal inside the penalty area, quickly closed down by Naki Wells, slashed high into the air by Connolly inside the penalty area. It drops to Andy King, wide towards Wells again, and a low ball in from Mehmeti is blocked by Nelson, but it will be a throw-in to Bristol City on this near side. And as we go beyond the midpoint of the first half here on Talksport 2, the home side in the ascendancy. Now Alex Scott once again, wide to this near side, and De Silva. Pringle finding Scott, he's allowed to turn, and he's got support from Vyman, and Bristol City here beginning to play some very attractive football up to a point, and that point is the edge of the Blackpool penalty area.
I mean, look, they've defended okay so far, Blackpool, you know, but certainly look more dangerous, Bristol City, that's for sure.
Josh Bowler does well to win it back from De Silva on this near side. And Bowler is back on loan at Blackpool from Forest. They signed him at the end of last season, and he was at Olympiacos in the first half of the campaign. Now Mehmeti shrugs off the challenge of Gabriel on this near side, finding King on the Bristol City left, scoops the cross in, appeals for handball, and the appeals are waved away by the referee, but Bristol City still have it with Scott now, driving into the penalty area on the left, and he's driven wide, but he's got support from De Silva. And De Silva now finds King again, wide towards Scott, who's got space and time to deliver the cross. He breaks into the penalty area, a couple of step overs, and again the cross into the near post is scrambled behind for a corner, but Blackpool hanging on grimly here.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're kind of getting what they deserve there, because Jordan Gabriel could have cleared the danger. Instead he kept getting pushed back towards his own goal line, really, by the corner flag, and then he went over as if he was fouled. The referee said that's no foul, lost possession, he's put his side under undue pressure here. Just clear the danger, make a decision nice and early.
25 minutes played, 0-0. Bristol City continuing to build up the pressure here. Jay De Silva will take the corner. It will be an outswinger this time. Driven low towards the edge of the penalty area. Naki Wells with the volley. It's blocked and fired towards goal in the end by Mehmeti. And another block right on the edge of the 6-yard area by Gabriel, and Blackpool will clear.
Right, straight off the training ground, that routine, because Blackpool marked man for man, so Bristol City took every player towards the goal, and there was a huge hole to cut the ball back to. Straight off the training ground, that one aimed towards the penalty spot. Naki Wells, good finish, just went out.
De Silva still forward, great cross into the penalty area, headed away by Thornley. Scott with a shot, it's blocked, back towards Scott again. On the edge of the penalty area, the dummy from Mehmeti doesn't come off, and Bowler can bring the ball clear now for Blackpool. Yates is the only player forward, wide on the far side, and he's unable to keep the ball in play on the halfway line.
Terrible pass from Josh Bowler. I mean, they turn the ball over, just make sure you secure it. Coming back to that set piece though, excellent from Bristol City. That's the danger of marking man for man. Yeah, because Bristol City put about 6 players in the box. They all went towards the goalkeeper, almost on top of the goalkeeper. Then there was a huge, there was about 20-yard space inside the box for Jay De Silva just to wrap the ball back across goal towards. Massive hole, and yeah, maybe Mick, you might have to rethink that, because obviously Bristol City done their homework, saying, well, if they mark man for man, if they follow you everywhere, we'll just take them all towards the goal line and let's cut the ball back on the corner. Nearly scored there, Bristol City.
And I think Blackpool are about to make another change here. There was another injury on the far side, and already there is movement on the Blackpool bench. You'll remember Gary Medine went off following a challenge in the opening 30 seconds to be replaced by Morgan Rogers, and another Blackpool player is down just inside their own half on the far side, and they may be thinking about a second change here in the first half due to injury. We spoke about Bristol City's lengthy injury list. Blackpool currently have 5 players on the sideline due to hamstring injuries, and Mick McCarthy's resources are fairly stretched. He's called in those on the field who are still fit to play to have a word with himself and his faithful assistant Terry Connor. Nigel Pearson has done likewise with members of his playing squad, but they're on top at the moment. Although Chris Maxwell has not really had a shot to save, one or two near things for the home side. And it's Callum Connolly, who was the player who was down for Blackpool. He's back on his feet on the far side, still goalless at Dean Court between Bournemouth and Liverpool. That game live over on Talksport in the Premier League. And at the moment, David, without being massively harsh, we can see why Blackpool are where they are.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, they're hanging, I wouldn't say hanging in there, but certainly really struggle to get a foothold in the game.
In the Scottish Cup quarter-finals, Aaron Moy has given Celtic an early lead against Hearts. They lead that game by 1-0, heading towards half-time now. 0-0 here with 28 minutes played, and that means that Bristol City have now gone 9 hours without a goal from open play in the Championship since February the 15th. They went 469 days without a penalty, but their last 2 goals in the Championship have both been penalties in their last 4 games. Here is Pring, wide towards the far side, and Andy King, who was looking for movement further ahead. There wasn't too much going on, so it's back towards Scott, and now Pring will go all the way back towards Viner, midway inside his own half. But Bristol City dominating possession here. A long ball forward, looking for Naki Wells, who does rise to head the ball down, and it's Vyman who tries to play it towards the edge of the penalty area, but it's cleared away well by Nelson. Now Bowler just ensures he was fouled there by Mehmeti, who drives the ball in, comes back off the post, but the whistle had already gone, and it will be a Blackpool free kick.
Yeah, he got away with that one, Josh Bowler, but, you know, he's been a little bit loose in possession. You know, come away from home, you need your wide men, you know, to make sure they secure that ball. I just wonder whether he's just shifted things around here. We'll have to see if Rodgers has gone back to the winger that he is. It looks like he might have now shifted out to the left-hand side. We'll have to see if that's permanent.
So it would be a 4-5-1 for Blackpool. As Bowler comes forward now, down the right-hand side, tries to burst in between a couple of challengers, almost gone beyond Pring, and now Gabriel fires in the shot. It's deflected, appeals for handball, and it bobbles through towards Max O'Leary, and he quickly bowls it out towards this near side. Now Mehmeti over the halfway line for Bristol City, comes in field. De Silva is on the overlap, but a good sliding challenge coming in from Nelson, read that well, and gets good distance up towards the halfway line, but it's quickly recovered by Pring once again. Now De Silva in towards Naki Wells, and here is Mehmeti with a low ball in. Wells allows it to run, Vyman strikes it, may have actually hit his teammate inside the 6-yard area, or possibly Curtis Nelson, and Blackpool will clear the ball downfield. Yates will give chase, but he's extremely isolated, and Viner guides it all the way back towards O'Leary once again.
And it looks like, they've changed that shape in terms of going back to a sort of 4-2-3-1. That's the way that Mick has normally played. Rodgers now shifted out to the left. Sonny Carey just playing off the front with Jerry Yates up top. That's they're going to have to trying to get back in the game, maybe get a foothold in the game. You know, more in a shape that they know a bit better, and Rodgers playing maybe in a more natural position.
Well, Bristol City have had 66% possession so far. There have been 8 shots in the game, 1 on target, and they've all come from the home side. Blackpool have barely crossed the halfway line at times. 31 minutes played though, and it's still goalless here on Talksport 2. It was a terrific rearguard action from Blackpool to get a goalless draw against Burnley at home last week, as King with a cross in which was deflected into the penalty area, headed away by Nelson, nodded down by Mehmeti, but Connolly is there to clear the ball away up to the halfway line. Yates will try and win it back, but he was always the wrong side of Pring, and now Scott with an excellent crossfield ball from left to right to find Sykes. Sykes will turn, and it's further wide towards the far side and Tanner, but his low cross is repelled at the near post by Thompson. But Scott has it back for Bristol City again, wide to this near side, and De Silva. De Silva now will try and take on Gabriel, but Gabriel stands firm. But now Mehmeti takes over. Scott on the edge of the penalty area, coming in field onto the right foot, clips in the shot, but it was blocked by the head of Thornley. And King will try and keep the ball in play on the far side, and he's done well. Now Tanner can gather for Bristol City. He's outnumbered, heading towards the corner flag. In the end, Garbutt slides in to make the challenge, and Bristol City have a throw-in.
Yeah, I mean, just coming back to the possession, I think that's kind of irrelevant from it, because he knows that his first victory, they had like 30% of the ball. They're used to that. It's just when they turn it over, can they have a bit more calmness and quality? I mean, Callum Connolly won the ball back there, and you mentioned it, it's a clearance. It doesn't need to be a clearance there. He needs to pick a pass. He needs to try and find Yates if he can to help his team get up the pitch, because lack of possession, I don't think really bothers Nick. He knows they're not going to have much of the ball. It's what they do when they get it back. Defend well, and when you get it back, just be a bit more of a threat and settle down. You can see Yates out there just motioning his hands down towards the ground. Calm down, everyone settle down a little bit. That first pass, we've been under pressure. Can we keep it and just relieve and get out of danger?
And Blackpool now have a goal kick away to our left-hand side. 33 minutes played. And it is still Bristol City 0, Blackpool 0. And it will be cleared downfield by Chris Maxwell, high up towards the halfway line. And now Yates can break down the centre for Blackpool. Here's an opportunity, and Yates has put it wide. Well, what a chance that was. Jerry Yates suddenly found himself clean through. One-on-one with O'Leary, went beyond O'Leary, but failed to keep the effort on target. What an opportunity for the side fighting relegation.
Oh, it was almost as if we just spoke about it, not having a lot of the ball. They might get a chance. This is it. A long goal kick. They misjudged the bounce. He's through in on goal. He deceives the goalkeeper really well that he's going to shoot early. Takes it around him. Then he just has a little bit of a miscontrol. An opportunity gone. I mean, goodness me. It's like the ball just got away from him at the final moment as he skipped round the goalkeeper. What a chance.
Now an opportunity for Scott to try and capitalise on that let-off for Bristol City. Finds Mehmeti, who scored 9 goals for Wycombe before making the move up from League One in January. An Albanian under-21 international. Wide to this near side, and De Silva again. Well, it's been one-way traffic, but the best chance has fallen to Blackpool so far. Now Tanner. Wide to the far side, and Sykes back towards Tanner again. Scott, all very intricate and tight on the edge of the penalty area. Sykes eventually delivering a cross in, but a good header away by Gabriel at the far post. Nodded back in field by Tanner. A hoof straight up into the air by Thompson. Nodded down by Tanner. The clearance then strikes Rogers. It's all very scrappy for Blackpool, but they get the ball clear. And now Pring with a high ball forward towards Naki Wells again, who's got a very good spring for a striker who is not one of the tallest, and it's headed away towards this near side. Mehmeti will try and keep the ball in play. He does so, then he's taken out by Thompson, actually off the field of play, and I think that it's only a throw into Bristol City.
Well, it looked like, as you say, they're both off the pitch there. Not too sure John Gabriel needs to do that. I had another little look at the opportunity for Jerry Yates. I mean, the goalkeeper's gone down. He's tried to go around him. Just the touch has got away from him. It looked like he'd done all the hard work, deceiving the goalkeeper who's going to shoot.
Well, he's not scored a league goal, Jerry Yates, since October. Only one in his last 19. That came against Forest in the FA Cup.
Well, that is a threat, though, that, you know, Mick will know that they might get that one chance, but maybe another one will come by not having a lot of the ball, but, you know, maybe on a counter or a quick ball over the top. It's just whether they can take it.
And Bristol City do play a very high line, and Yates does have a bit of pace about him. So if they just put the ball in behind, there's an opportunity. Yeah, and
Rogers too. I mean, that is where you come back to the early stage of the game when they were trying to play their way out, and Bristol City were pressing them high, and Mick just called on the pitch, and no, scrap that. The thing is, they haven't really shown enough composure when they've got the ball back.
36 minutes played, Bristol City 0, Blackpool 0. Here on the home of the EFL Talksport 2. Coming up at 3 o'clock, Spurs against Forest from the Premier League with Ian Danta and Alvin Martin. Game day live with Adrian Durham, live from the King Power Stadium with all the goals as they go in on Talksport. And tomorrow we have Norwich against Sunderland, 12 noon over on Talksport with Joe Shannon and Dean Ashton. Now De Silva moving forward now on this near side for Bristol City again. Low ball to find Mehmeti inside the area. It's driven to the near post, and it's claimed well by Maxwell.
Yeah, good, really good down this left-hand side for Bristol City. De Silva, he takes the wide area. Mehmeti then makes an underlapping run. Lovely little through ball to him, right on the byline, tries to cut it back, but a little bit too close to Maxwell. I mean, it looks like their best route to goal, Bristol City, down this left-hand side with De Silva and Mehmeti. Look like they've formed a really good partnership.
Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 0. Over on Talksport, Philip Billing with the opening goal. Scored the opening goal last week when Bournemouth went 2 up and eventually lost at Arsenal. And he's done likewise here today. Commentary continues over on Talksport with Bournemouth leading Liverpool by a goal to 0. As Blackpool try and come forward here with Bowler, and he's away from Pring down the left. He goes down, wants a free kick and gets nothing from Darren Bond, the referee.
Yeah, just not quite happening for Josh Bowler at the minute. Every time he's trying to do something a little bit bright, the ball's got away from him, and they haven't really had an end product from him. You know, but he is a threat. I mean, on his day, he's got a wonderful left foot. We've seen him countless times cutting in. I actually coached against him when he was in QPR's youth team before he left for Everton.
Back again towards Viner for Bristol City. Not a huge amount of atmosphere inside the stadium. 38 minutes played. The Blackpool supporters, decked out in tangerine away to our left, are doing their best to get behind their team as Bristol City have given the ball away again, and now Blackpool will get a free kick, and you can hear the ironic cheers. It was Garbett who came in field from the far side. In fact, it was Carey, my apologies, who was taken down about 15 yards inside the Bristol City half, and Blackpool gradually are working their way into the game, and they're sending the big men forward here.
Yeah, that's right, and they've got a bit of height as well, so there will be a threat on these. I imagine this will go on the diagonal. And they did show a bit of composure there, Blackpool, when they won the ball back.
Garbett with the free kick high into the penalty area. Nelson manages to head the ball down. It's scrambled cleared by De Silva. Now Wells on the halfway line. Thompson comes across to make the challenge and does just enough. Mick McCarthy appeals for the throw-in, but Bristol City get the decision. Wells takes it from miles away from where the ball went out of play, and he'll be called back, and Blackpool have the opportunity to regroup, and Mick McCarthy now has a few words with Darren Bond, the referee.
Well, Mick will know, on Bristol City's bench, Curtis Fleming, former teammate of mine, and I think Mick would have given him a number of caps. Nigel Pearson's staff these days. Just putting a couple of words down there, because I don't think they got a touch on that, Dominic Thompson. I don't think he did for Blackpool, but Bristol City got the throw anyway.
Now Mark Sykes, another Republic of Ireland international, on the far side. Plays it down the line, and in the end the throw-in is conceded. And Bristol City have another opportunity to attack here with 5 minutes to play in the first half at Ashton Gate. 0-0. Bristol City have been the dominant side, but Blackpool have had the best opportunity, and it's a game in many ways which sums up the ebbs and flows of the Championship. Variable quality, but a number of talking points. Viner with a throw-in on the far side for the Robins, as one or two home fans begin to make their way downstairs to try and find some warmth and half-time refreshment. And this really is a top-quality stadium now, reshaped over the last 5 or 6 years. The Atio stand away to our left is the only remaining stand from the old Ashton Gate, which was a really good old-fashioned football ground to come and visit. You would often have to dodge the pillars to watch the action from the main stand, but it's a very different setting now.
I got 4 there one day.
Really?
A long time ago, yeah, for Wolves.
For Wolves, yeah.
Yeah, when the mascots had a punch-up, Wolfie and the 3 little piggies.
Yeah, you scored 4 goals and the mascots made the headlines, didn't they?
What a day that was.
As Blackpool look to build again, but Connolly just miscontrols, and it's played forward wide for Mehmeti on this near side. He comes infield up towards the edge of the penalty area. Connolly slips. Mehmeti is still going onto the right foot, drives it into the crowd, and a combination of Thornley and Nelson are able to block it.
Well, he has been the best player for me on the pitch, Mehmeti. He's been outstanding. Whenever he's got the ball, he's been so brave, carried it. He's not afraid to take another touch and commit players, and he was so unlucky there. Terrific bit of skill and run, and just unfortunate with the shot.
Carey goes down on this near side, a stumbling challenge from Pring, but no free kick given, and in the end Bristol City have a throw-in on this near side. And you're listening to Bristol City against Blackpool in the EFL, live on Talksport 2 with Carling, the UK's #1 lager, 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. And don't forget, coming up later on this evening on Talksport 2 from 5 o'clock, coverage of the third round of the Players' Championship, the unofficial fifth major, live from the PGA Tour here on Talksport 2 at 5. And tomorrow morning we also bring you ball-by-ball commentary of the second T20 International between England and Bangladesh from 8:30. England 1 down in the 3-match series. Talksport 2 tomorrow at 8:30. There are 2 minutes of normal time to play in the first half. I would imagine we'll have 3 or 4 minutes extra for the injury delay very early on for Gary Medine. And it's been the same old story for Bristol City, really. They've looked good in parts, but they've not really had a cutting edge. Bournemouth still leading Liverpool by 1-0 over on Talksport, thanks to Philip Billing here on Talksport 2. It is still goalless with 90 seconds of normal time to play. Bristol City with 11 shots on goal, but only one of those on target so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, their sort of early match enthusiasm has waned a little bit from the crowd, because their final pass has just been found wanting. You saw Alex Scott there just trying to be clever, a little through ball around the edge of the box, and it's gone straight off the pitch. But you know, they've tried, they've been close. You know, I think the front part of the pitch looks really promising for them. I think Sykes has been excellent. Mehmeti's been the best player on the pitch. You know, Vibin and Naki Wells have been buzzing around. So you know, they do look good in patches, that's for sure.
Maxwell clears downfield once again, and Blackpool have it with Yates wide to this near side, the right, and Bowler will try and take on De Silva. His low cross in is blocked, and it will run out of play for a Blackpool throw, and a couple of yards from the corner flag on this near side.
Well, they doubled up on Bowler there because they know he's a left footer playing on the right hand side, wants to cut infield onto his left. Bristol City actually sent 3 players out there, made sure he didn't do that, forced him down the line onto his right foot, tried to get the ball across, gone out for a throw.
And Jordan Gabriel has come forward to take it. And he does get some length on these. Nelson waits at the near post. It's in towards Nelson. Headed away though, controlled by Thompson. And now Bowler briefly onto that left foot, but he's forced wide again onto the right. And he will try and shot back here infield towards the edge of the penalty area. And we're into a minimum of 4 added minutes as Bristol City win it back. A lone Seagull just heads across the field from left to right, joined by a couple of its colleagues as Bristol City try and bring it forward, and the Seagulls swooping very low here as we approach half-time. Maybe they know something we don't.
I mean, the Bowler again though, you know, poor touch on the edge of the box.
Tanner with a cross into the penalty area, which bounces once, and a swooping Maxwell is able to claim at the edge of the 6-yard box, and those Seagulls are still swooping very close to the edge of the Blackpool penalty area at the moment. Played downfield by Gabriel for Blackpool, long and high, looking for Yates, but he's lost out in the air to Pring. Gabriel now with a decisive header above Mehmeti. Bowler tries to lay it back to him, but it's straight out of play.
Goodness me, I mean, I don't want to keep critiquing him, but he's probably lost the ball at least half the time he's had it. You know, when you have a player like that, he's operating right in front of Mick McCarthy. I'm surprised he's not in his ear. But
he'll be grateful he won't be in the second half.
Yeah, exactly.
Bristol City play it long down the left-hand side, straight out of play for a throwing. A goal kick rather.
I mean, his options are limited, aren't they? Right, because you know he needs to keep Bowler on the pitch, but he's just got to do better. You know, his touch got away from him on the edge of the box at one end, because if you had a better first touch here, pop that onto his left, set yourself with one touch, that is right hand side, you could bend that in from there with your left. That's the sort of area you want to have the ball in, but touch just got away from him.
Maxwell again clears long downfield over the head of Rodgers. Yates will try and win it back, and he was looking for support ahead of him, but it Breaks kindly for Bristol City. Now Sykes wins it on the far side ahead of Thompson. Back towards O'Leary. Very deliberate ball downfield for him. Then it's hooked over the top by Connolly. First time ball from Thompson. Looking for Yates, who was static because he knew he would have been offside had he made the earlier move forward. And Bristol City will clear again. Pring with a high ball forward again, headed away by Thornley. Sykes gathers on the corner of the penalty area. Low cross in from him is blocked by Morgan Rogers. And Rogers has done well to win it back by the corner flag on the far side. Play it down the line for Yates. And the pitch is very lively here. Yates can't link up with Garbett, and Bristol City quickly win it back with Scott. Wide towards the far side, and Sykes. Sykes is clipped inside the penalty area. He goes down, looks towards Darren Bond, who gives nothing.
Well, it looked like there might have been a tangle of legs then. Was it with Garbett or Connolly? One of them, just inside the area.
Well, Nigel Pearson looks away. Curtis Fleming very quickly heads towards the tablet to look at the screen and just see what happened there. And there's a shake of the head from both of them. On the field, Yates tries to win it back for Blackpool here. Connolly is then caught by Wells on the halfway line, and Blackpool have a free kick. And Jerry Yates has had a brilliant chance to open the scoring, but you've got to credit him for not giving up with absolutely no service.
Yeah, that's right. And his side just, I think he works his way into the box, and it looks like he might have just had his leg taken away from him. Maybe by Callum Connolly. We haven't seen a replay, but it could have been a possible pen. I noticed, as you say, Bristol City staff there checking the monitor. I think it should have been.
Bournemouth lead Liverpool by 1-0 over at half-time on Talksport. Garbett with the free kick. He slipped as he hit it for Blackpool, so it skews wide to the far side where it's headed away, and it will be a throw-in for Blackpool. And the atmosphere here is soporific to say the least as we head towards half-time. Thompson will take a throw-in, but of course this is a game that Blackpool need to win. There goes the whistle, and one or two boos and general indifference from the crowd. Goalless at half-time. Bristol City have made so much of the running, but Blackpool with the one real clear-cut chance. Jerry Yates clean through from a long ball forward, went round the goalkeeper and put it wide, and for a team in Blackpool's position that really had to go in. Half-time, Bristol City 0, Blackpool 0. Well, he was in pain, a good deal of pain. Straight away, Gary Medine, he was eventually allowed back on the field of play, and then very quickly came straight back off again as Blackpool, wearing dark blue, get the game underway. Attacking the goal away to our left, the Atio stand end of Ashton Gate, which has their faithful supporters behind it, those who've made that long journey down, and so far have had very little to shout about. But Blackpool may know that only one goal may be enough in this game. 8 of Bristol City's defeats so far this season have just been by the single goal, and only Rotherham have drawn more games. And although another draw here would be 2 games unbeaten for Blackpool, they need wins. 6 points adrift of safety in the Championship relegation zone. Of course, they were promoted back to this level in 2021 via the playoffs after a troubled spell for the club, which saw many supporters boycott the club, and they fell down from the Premier League into League 2 before heading back towards League 1. Neil Critchley brought them back to this level before moving on. Michael Appleton was appointed at the start of the season, but his second spell at the club was quickly curtailed, and now Mick McCarthy has been given the rescue job as Bristol City, in their red shirts and white shorts, look to build their first attack, playing from left to right in the second half as we look out from the main stand here at Ashton Gate. And the first opportunity for George Tanner to try and take on Morgan Rogers. Manchester United Academy product against Manchester City loanee, and it's Bristol City who have the throw-in on this near side. In towards Vyman, and now Tanner once again. Clipped down the line by King. Vyman does well to keep the ball in play. Hooks it down the line. Sykes will try and control, and somehow the ball is eventually snaked into the penalty area, but not before it had gone behind, and it will be a goal kick. And Chris Maxwell saw a good deal of action ahead of him inside his penalty area in the first half, David, but didn't really have a shot to save.
No, he didn't. I mean, just looking at Terry Connor just waving over Josh Bowler. I mean, they lack a sort of physical presence up top, Blackpool now, don't they? No Medine. So from those long goal kicks, you know, Yates is going to do his best, but he's probably not going to flick much on.
Now Yates does well to flick the ball on, almost found Carey bursting through the midfield. And here is De Silva now for Bristol City. Wide towards the far side. Mehmeti now wearing gloves in the second half. Looks to break all the way through. Mehmeti still going, but another brilliant defensive challenge coming in from Curtis Nelson. On the ground there as Mehmeti bore down on goal, and Nelson somehow managed to keep him out. Now Scott again for Bristol City. Finding De Silva. The early cross into the penalty area. Thornley on the stretch. Clears away ahead of Wells to the far side. And Bowler now handles the ball as he looks to bring the ball away down the Blackpool right, and Bristol City have a free kick.
Well, same as the first half really for Bristol City in terms of Mehmeti being the best player on the pitch. You know, picks it up in space, drives. Gabriel gets into the box, and again it just needed the covering challenge of Curtis Nelson. He did really, really well. But Mehmeti's, I think, has been outstanding. Been the best player on the pitch so far.
3 minutes played in the second half. Still Bristol City 0, Blackpool 0 here on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. And it's a free kick for Bristol City, wide on their left-hand side. And once again, Blackpool have brought every single player back to defend. Clipped high to the far post and straight down the throat of Chris Maxwell.
Well, it is on for the counter if they do it a little bit quickly. He tries to.
He looks to clear downfield. It's actually blocked by Vyman, and I think Blackpool would have preferred the advantage there.
Absolutely. I mean, I know it was a foul, but nonetheless on obstruction really on the goalkeeper's kick. But nonetheless, they've got the wrong side of Bristol City there, and they had three players bearing down on goal. Blackpool. Certainly the wrong decision from the referee.
Darren Bond, the referee, had one or two decisions to make in the first half, notably not to give a penalty to Bristol City late in the first half, when it did seem that there was a clear foul inside the penalty area on Mark Sykes. Of course, no VAR in the Championship, and maybe that came to Blackpool's rescue there. Maxwell does clear downfield from the free kick, headed away by Pring. And now Scott stoops to poke it forward on the far side. It's quickly recovered by Gabriel for Blackpool. Now Bowler again. He goes down under the challenge of Scott. Doesn't get a free kick. De Silva brings it forward now for Bristol City. Looks for movement further ahead of him. Plays it behind Wells. And it's all the way back towards Maxwell. Now the early ball forward. Yates will challenge for it, but Viner is able to head the ball away. And Pring just takes a moment to bring the ball under his control and eventually runs it straight out of play on the far side, and Blackpool have a throw-in. Yeah, just a bit of miscontrol there from Pring at the back. Just coming back to Blackpool, you know, they're not going to play out from the back. They don't have the height up top. I mean, Rodgers is pretty big, so just got to make sure they pick up the second balls. Rodgers now drives it into the penalty area. It's chested off towards Bowler, who fires it towards goal, but it skews off the outside of his left foot high over the top. Sums his game up, really, to be honest. It's a difficult chance. I'm not sure he should be taking his first time anyway. The ball bouncing away from goal. It's almost on the hard volley. Slices it horribly wide and up over the bar in the end. Certainly need more from Josh Bowler. I mean, he lost the ball a moment ago. De Silva took it off him. He stayed on the deck for about 30 seconds and then he jogs back. You know, just get up quicker. Keep hold of the ball. If you do lose it, you know, get back in your shape. 6 minutes played in the second half. 0-0 here at Ashton Gate. Mehmeti on the move again for Bristol City on the far side, but Gabriel does well to keep pace with him and guides it out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Bristol City down their left, just in front of the Ultras area here at Ashton Gate. All the flags were out pre-match. Now Vyman just stumbles and he was caught on the far side by Carey, and it will be a free kick for Bristol City again. And they had so much of the ball in the first half, so many opportunities, but no real clear-cut chances. Now the free kick has worked short again. Scott with a high ball into the penalty area. Thompson rising to clear. It's then flicked further away by Carey, and then Viner, well, not too sure what that was. He hammers it high towards goal, and it's straight into the crowd.
Well, it would have been between the posts if you were watching the rugby here. I mean, look, they try and take it short again. Bristol City on the free kicks, you would say. They've been, you know, certainly inventive on those sorts of situations, you know, the set pieces and stuff, trying to work an opening, but haven't really come to much so far. But barring the one from Nike Wells in the first half, that was probably their best chance.
52 minutes played. You're listening to Bristol City against Blackpool in the EFL, live on Talksport 2 with Carling, the UK's number one lager, 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. A long throw for Blackpool down the line on the far side. It's over the head of Yates. It's now claimed by Carey. Carey looking for support. All bodies inside the penalty area. In the end, here's one a throw-in for Blackpool, and there's some encouragement for their supporters as the Seagulls continue to swoop very close to the playing area here. Of course, it's prime time for them, with so many half-time snacks now dispensed with here inside Ashton Gate. Jordan Gabriel lining up for the long throw. Plenty of room around the edges of the pitch here at Ashton Gate for a long run-up, and he delivers it now flat and high towards the edge of the area, headed away. Garbutt tries to play it back towards Gabriel, but it's cleared. Nelson fighting Bowler, who flicks on, and Gabriel wins a throw-in off to Silva in exactly the same place from where he took the first one.
Yeah, as you mentioned, though, kicking into their home fan, well, their fans, you know, they'll be hoping that they can give them something to cheer, because they didn't have a lot in the first half, that's for sure.
Another throw for Blackpool to try and produce something here. Away to our left. In towards Rogers at the near post, but it's headed away eventually by Pring. Now Bowler back towards Thompson, and now an opportunity inside the penalty area for Rogers. Drives it in, appeals for handball, and in the end Blackpool don't even get the corner which they were looking for. A goal kick's been given.
Yeah, Rogers not happy. I mean, that looked like a decent opportunity there to get the ball in, but in the end looked like Pring just done enough to stop it coming in.
And Blackpool did create the best opportunity in the first half, which was put wide by Jerry Yates, with Max O'Leary on the ground, the goalkeeper. And they'll just be hoping they can get something here in the second half. That came from a long ball forward. Another one played downfield now, and it's poked forward towards Yates by Garbutt. Yates does gather the ball now, but only briefly, as De Silva clears for Blackpool. And he finds Scott breaking over the halfway line. Now Wells, beaten to it by Nelson. Nelson goes shoulder to shoulder with him. Wells goes down, and it's a throw into Blackpool. Don't forget, Talksport Breakfast is back on Monday morning from 6. Laura Woods, Ali McCoyce will be reviewing the weekend's Premier League football, and from 5 this evening here on Talksport 2, more PGA Tour golf coverage of round 3 of the Players' Championship, the unofficial 5th major, coming up at the end of our Premier League game at 3 o'clock, which is Tottenham against Nottingham Forest with Ian Danter and Alvin Martin. 55 minutes played here on Talksport 2. It is still goalless between Bristol City and Blackpool. Bournemouth still leading Liverpool by a 1-0 over on Talksport. Vyman with a high ball into the penalty area. Wells winning the ball well in the air, this time above Nelson, but he can't direct the ball towards goal with any power, and it's claimed once again by Chris Maxwell.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not the biggest, are they? You know, Andy Vyman and Nike Wells. I think Wells did well to actually get ahead on it, but difficult to score from that sort of area.
Blackpool looking to create themselves now with Carey on the edge of the penalty area, back towards Garbutt, and now wide to Bowler again on the far side. Celtic leading Hearts by 2-0 in the closing stages of the Scottish Cup quarter-final at Tynecastle. Connolly now with a high ball wide to this near side, taken down well by Rogers, who comes in Phil onto the right foot. He can hit this, and he does, and it's straight down the throat of Max O'Leary.
Oh, it's unlucky. It's a really good strike, good power on it, but as you say, just straight down the goalkeeper's throat. If it's maybe a couple of yards to the side, that'll have a chance of going in. But I mean, he's looked bright when he's had the ball, hasn't he, Rogers?
But here is Vyman now for Bristol City on this near side. They're right. Quickly closed down by Thompson, but it's back towards Vyman again on the edge of the penalty area from King. Swings inside, left foot curler, brilliant goal! Andy Vyman producing a moment of quality, completely out of keeping with the game so far. And Bristol City break the deadlock. Andy Vyman with an absolute beauty, broke inside onto that left foot, and he curled it high beyond Chris Maxwell. And it's a goal which sends Blackpool closer to relegation. Bristol City 1, Blackpool 0.
Yeah, wonderful goal. Wonderful from Andy Vyman. When picks it up in a little pocket of space, right-hand side of the box. No one goes to close him down, and he's got good awareness, knows this, gets turned, faces forward, takes it inside a yard or two, and then sets this beautifully outside the reach of the goalkeeper. Nestles into that far corner. Wonderful curling finish. It's a great goal.
Well, it was a game which was rather meandering along, but it's been brought to life by Andreas Vyman. Only his 6th goal of the season, his first league goal since November, got 22 last season. But he's always been a player capable of that sort of quality in a team lacking goals, and he's come up with another brilliant moment there.
It's a good move, you've got to say, as well, from Bristol City. You know, as they turn the ball over, I would say maybe Rodgers gets attracted, thinking the pass is going to go out wide. He just leaves Andy Vyman free. They couldn't get out and close the ball down. Dominic Thompson couldn't out to Andy Vyman. He was unexpected, really, to receive it in that little pocket. Yeah, great awareness, Vyman. Knew that no one was really close to him. Took it infield and bent it beautifully into that top corner.
58 minutes played. Bristol City 1, Blackpool 0. And what do Mick McCarthy and Terry O'Connor do now? They'll look at the bench, they'll look at potential options, and they have to take something from this game, you feel. He was talking about not being too far adrift by the international break, with home games coming up against Queen's Park Rangers and Coventry. As Sykes will chase a long ball forward here for Bristol on this near side, but Maxwell comes outside his penalty area to thump the ball into the crowd.
Yeah, and if we go back to last week, you know, Maxwell made a number of really good saves against Burnley, but I don't think there's a lot he could do here.
No. And Blackpool, with only 10 goals in their previous 18 games, and that's the issue for them. They don't create enough. One chance came out of nothing in this game, that was missed, and now they are behind the 8 ball once again. As Carey almost wins it back from Pring on the halfway line, but Pring does well to recover, and he sways away from the challenge of Garbutt. Wide towards Sykes on this near side, low into the near post, and it strikes a Blackpool defender, Nelson, and goes behind for a corner. Yeah,
that's more like it. It's only got the crowd going now. They're a little bit quiet at times in that first half. Didn't have much to cheer about, but they do now. Great run from Cameron Pring. Drives at the heart of that Blackpool defence, narrows them up, and then feeds it out wide to Sykes. You would say the cross was probably a little bit predictable in terms of where it was going. There's a lot of bodies in the way at the near post. Nonetheless, they've got a corner. They've been really inventive at these. Let's see what they've got up their sleeves here.
Well, De Silva is over it. Mehmeti has come short on this near side, and it's swept in towards the near post area. Travels a long way, and eventually Andy King tries a shot, but he's penalised for a high boot, and Blackpool have a free kick. And Mick McCarthy still stands there motionless on the edge of his technical area, and in many ways he's had to play the hand he's been dealt with, arriving at the club in late January, unable to make major changes, and I'm not too sure he would be keen to remain at the club should they be relegated. He may not be given that opportunity. Now it's laid down by Yates. He was looking for the early ball forward again, poked forward by Rodgers, and in the end Blackpool win a throw-in on this near side. Carey takes it quickly in towards Yates, but Viner rises ahead of him to just guide the ball away, and Blackpool win another throw-in off the goal scorer Andy Vyman, which will be taken by Thompson. He now receives it back from Connolly. And Thompson now will try and work his way down the left-hand side. It's all very tight for him. In the end, he's given the ball away to Sykes, but then Thompson does well to win it back for Blackpool on this near side, and Thompson will head towards the byline, but in the end runs the ball out of play, and it will be a goal kick.
Oh, that's a shame, I tell you what, because he done really well initially in terms of kicking hold of the ball, good strength and ball skills in a tight area. Then I think he's just got to play the ball into Luke Garbutt. It's completely free, about 10 yards inside him. He doesn't, tries to get to the byline and just runs it off the pitch. I mean, what other options really has Mick got? He's got Charlie Patino, could come on, but not renowned for goals, more a creator. But
now an opportunity for Naki Wells to try and use his pace once again down the right-hand side, but he's quickly closed down by Jordan Thornley. And it will be a throw-in to Bristol City on this near side, leading by 1-0 with 63 minutes played here on Talksport 2, with Spurs against Forest coming up at 3 o'clock with Ian Danta and Alvin Martin. Game Day Live with Adrian Durham, with all the goals as they go in, and a full classified check at 5 o'clock. Don't forget, Tuesday night around the grounds on Talksport with all the goals as they go in from the Champions League and the Championship. Middlesbrough against Stoke will be live here on Talksport 2 at 8 o'clock. Then on Wednesday night, David will be alongside Ian Danta at Southampton against Brentford. We've also got Brighton against Crystal Palace with Alex Crook and Alvin Martin. Those games will be on either Talksport 2 or the Talksport app, with Real Madrid against Liverpool on Talksport with Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce, and Real Betis against Manchester United from the Europa League will be live on Talksport 2, 5:45 on Thursday. United 4-1 up from the first leg. Yates wins it back for Blackpool here, but it's given away quickly, and now Wells into the penalty area looking for Vyman again, but he was just blocked off it by Thompson, and it's claimed by Maxwell, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was unlucky. You know, Wells just trying to lob the ball over the top for Andy Vyman. I think those two are so intelligent as a pair. You know, they work really well together. I think Nike Wells is a good goal scorer, but also he's bright, he's intelligent, got good movement, he can pick a pass. I think him and Vyman complement each other really well. Look, they're not the biggest in terms of physicality or, you know, aerially, so it does mean you have to try and fashion stuff, you know, break teams down, keep them possession, keep hold of the ball. Don't have a Martin type to lump the ball up to. Well, they used to, but not anymore.
No. Well, they've got two strikers with plenty of guile and plenty of craft about them. Omar Jeju was the big striker they had here for a number of years. Paid a decent sum of money for him, but of course he's now gone elsewhere. Didn't really make the sort of impact they were looking for.
I think he got homesick and he had a few injuries as well. Never seemed to settle. On his day, he looked like he'd be another player who might kick on. You know,
yeah.
And they might be able to sell him on to a Premier League club, a bit like they did with Adam Webster, but it didn't quite work out like that.
To go back to the days of Bob Taylor for the old big striker here, who scored plenty of goals. And that's a few years ago now. Cross into the penalty area now for Blackpool, which is headed away by Viner. Now Thompson goes all the way back to the halfway line. Thornley under pressure from Wells, clips it forward again. Yates will try and make the run in behind, but Viner gets there first, but Blackpool regain possession. Here is Carey down the left hand side, no real support inside the area, so he checks back, and Garbutt can deliver a high ball in, but it's woefully overhit, straight out of play, one bounce into the seats.
Dreadful. I mean, he could have just fed the ball into Carey, who's in a nice little position about 10 yards ahead of him, also on the left hand side of the box. Instead, it's a really bad cross.
Well, here is a number 9 coming on now for Bristol City, Harry Cornick, who was signed from Luton in January, part of the Luton side which rose from League 2 to the Championship. Maybe not an authentic centre forward. He comes on for Mark Sykes.
Yeah, I mean, Sykes just we saw him just having a little, he was sort of bent over, maybe he feels something. Other than that, he's had a good game, you know, and I think Harry Cornick is I think he's going to be a really good signing for Bristol City. Bournemouth
still lead Liverpool by 1-0, midpoint of the second half over on Talksport. Download the Talksport app and you can swipe between the two stations and the two commentaries throughout the afternoon. Midpoint of the second half here as well, with Bristol City leading Blackpool by 1-0 thanks to Andreas Weimann. The Bristol City have dropped a number of points from winning positions so far this season, and they'll be hoping that doesn't happen on a regular basis. CJ Hamilton is now coming on now to replace Josh Bowler, and Kenny Dougal has also come on for Luke Garbett for Blackpool. Dougal, the Australian, is a yellow card away from a 2-match ban, so could be running a risk here, but it's needs must as they've lost the initiative in midfield, and CJ Hamilton can offer a bit of pace down the left-hand side, and that's the position he's taken up. As Connolly now slides it through towards Yates, and it's left for Hamilton, who can break into the penalty area, but he just loses his footing at the crucial moment, and the ball just bobbles off his standing leg straight out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, it looked like the ball just hit his standing leg actually as he went to swing it coming in. No surprise, I think Josh Bowler I think he had a really poor game, you know, and you've got to produce more, you really do.
He was one of the big hopes in January, coming back from Nottingham Forest. Of course, had a good season, which caught the eye of Steve Cooper, and has seen him head to the Premier League. But he's not looked like a Premier League player here today.
No, I mean his output is really disappointing. He probably lost possession, I don't know, half the amount of time he had it, which you can take, I think, as long as you go and produce, you know, in and around the box in the final third and conjure something, but he didn't, and I think there's only so long you can be patient with him.
And since the start of last season, Bristol City have given away 54 points from winning positions in the Championship, so this game's not over for Blackpool. But they've lost their previous 5 away games. No points on the road since Boxing Day. No wins on the road since the end of October. But here is Rodgers coming forward now. Slid wide to the far side. The low cross into the penalty area from Gabriel was blocked, and then the recovery challenge from De Silva quickly wins it back for Bristol City. And they will try and break over the halfway line. Mehmeti has got time and support on the edge of the penalty area down the left. Delivers the low cross in. It was heading towards Maxwell, but it's swept away by Nelson. And Bristol City will win it back once again with Pringle. Pringle's found Mehmeti. And now De Silva again. And Mehmeti's got 3 to pick out inside the penalty area. Cornick makes the run to the near post, but Mehmeti has very cheaply given the ball away. Now Dougal for Blackpool. But Mehmeti has done well here to win it back for Bristol City up towards the edge of the penalty area. Fires in the shot, but it's not too far over the top.
Yeah, he's unlucky. It was worth an effort. He gets a good round of applause from the crowd, because I think they're really pleased about his playing, Mehmeti. And it's Mehmeti. Ducks in off that left-hand side, working his way across the box. It's ambitious outside the box, but 25 yards out.
Cleared downfield by Max O'Leary once again. 20 minutes to play here at Ashton Gate. Bristol City 1, Blackpool 0. At 3 o'clock we have Premier League commentary. Tottenham against Nottingham Forest. Let's get the team news and say good afternoon to Ian Danter.
Afternoon to you, Nigel. 3 changes for Spurs from that disappointment here against Milan in the week. Out go Royal, Kulusevski and Perisic. In come Dyer, Porro and Richarlison, who gets a start after what's been a difficult week for him. Forest make 2 changes. Mangala and Lingard are recalled. Wood and Colback drop to the bench. Spurs against Forest, live on Talksport 2 at 3 o'clock.
Thanks, Ian. And we have 19 minutes to play here, and it's still Bristol City 1, Blackpool 0. The goal from Andreas Weimann as Blackpool try and push forward again now, as they really have to. Time is slipping away for them. They have 2 home games coming up against Queen's Park Rangers and Coventry, but if results go against them, they could be 9 points adrift of safety by the end of today.
That's a good turn though from Sonny Carey. Draws the foul.
And a free kick for Blackpool.
A lovely little turn about 10 yards outside the box on this inside left channel. See what they can do here on these set pieces, Blackpool.
And they need to produce something with 18 minutes to play. Dougal is over the free kick. And they just need a moment of quality, inspiration or luck. Dougal with the free kick, and it's claimed unchallenged by O'Leary.
Too close to him. Too close. Far too close. In swinging delivery, you've got to give your players a chance. Dougal's got to do a little bit more on those. They need more quality, that's for sure, Blackpool, don't they? I mean, Terry Connor's just come out of the technical areas alongside Mick McCarthy, you know, just encouraging his players, come on. The final throws here.
But I think for Bristol City, they would just be happy to take the victory. They would still be 7 points away from the top 6 before the game's coming up later on today. I don't think any of their fans realistically believe that they will be challenging for the top 6 between now and the end of the season, and maybe that was never part of the plan here this season, but you need a strong finish for all sorts of reasons, don't you?
Well, you do, yeah. Obviously building belief, and at least you're, as you say, starting to have green shoots of what might be in a new era, really, here. I mean, the old CEO's gone, Mark Ashton, they've got a new CEO, and, you know, they're having to do things a little bit differently, sign, you know, maybe players from lower down, be bright, and in their recruitment, Sykes coming in, Mehmeti coming in, academy kids, you know, and they still have a couple of, you know, big hitters in terms of Narky Wells and players like that, but you know, what can they achieve, I guess? You know, how much longer can they keep hold of an Alex Scott? We have to wait and see.
Well, I'm sure that they will have a number of players who will be on the radar of top clubs, and Scott again with a lovely run forward here. It was a case of him slaloming through the Blackpool defence before he was taken down by Morgan Rogers, and it will be a free kick and a yellow card.
Yeah, terrific with the ball at his feet, as we know. Lovely little jinking run, and it is a yellow there.
First one of the day for either side. Well, you look at the Blackpool team, we have seen great escapes, and of course it could still happen. They are not completely adrift, but at the moment they are not showing signs of a recovery, and that will be the concern for Mick McCarthy. 10 games to go after this one, 32 points. They may need to win, I would think, at least 5 of those games to have any hope, and they've only won 7 all season. And when you start looking at how many points you may need and how many wins you've got, it becomes even more difficult. De Silva with a high cross in just over the head of Wells at the far post, but now there is space and time, and the cross delivered back into the penalty area from Tanner, cleared away. Yates will gather for Blackpool at the far post, turns well, and he's played a good ball down the line for Gabriel. Gabriel now strides in field for Blackpool, looks for support on the outside. There was no one there for him, so he continues in field. Now Connolly sweeps it wide towards the left, and Thompson in field again for Carey, and Carey all the way back towards Thornley once again. Carey with the ball in field to find Hamilton finding Carey, but he's given the ball away too easily to Cornick with a swept back hair, and he wins it back for Bristol City. It's played down the line for Wells. Cornick continues his run, and Cornick now has the opportunity to turn in field, but he's turned into trouble, and Thornley will find Connolly for Blackpool, and they did have runners forward there, but the pass never came.
Yeah, I think he could have just linked up with Nike Wells a little bit quicker. You know, that's what Wells was looking for, a little 1-2. Cornick just took one touch too many.
14 minutes to play. Still 1-0 to Bristol City here. Still 1-0 to Bournemouth against Liverpool, with a similar amount of time to play over on Talksport. And that would be a win for Bournemouth, which would be absolutely priceless at the bottom. It would take them out of the relegation zone as it stands, and a real blow to Liverpool's hopes of making the top 4. I was on the Falls panel with Hawksby and Jacobs yesterday, and nobody predicted a Bournemouth win. Well, just shows what we know.
That would be unexpected, make no mistake.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they have shown, though, that they can score goals against, well, any team, really. Saw that against Arsenal, didn't we? Holding out is the issue for them.
Headed forward by Dougal and nodded down by Tanner for Bristol City. Scott plays a high ball forward. Connolly quickly plays it infield towards Rodgers, and it breaks for Carey. Rodgers running off him here. Carey needs to play the early ball to Rodgers. He does. He strides into the penalty area, fires in the shot right-footed. It was a weak effort in the end, and a comfortable save for O'Leary.
Yeah, I ironically think Carey played the ball a little bit too soon. I think he could have just carried that a little bit more and just tried to suck out Cameron Pring. Instead he releases, I think, too early. It means Pring can get across and actually make it a little bit harder for Rodgers. In the end, he's got someone to beat, and maybe Carey could have just carried that a little bit more.
And we have 12 minutes to play here at Ashton Gate on Talksport 2. Spurs against Forest coming up at 3 o'clock. Game day live on Talksport. And don't forget, Norwich against Sunderland is on Talksport as well tomorrow at noon. We will have coverage of the T20 International between England and Bangladesh on Talksport 2 from 8:30 tomorrow morning. Now King for Bristol City, back towards Cornick, and King once again. There's no doubt there are a number of real ball players in this Bristol City side. It's just finding those one or two ingredients to maybe make them more consistent and more of a force further up the table. Blackpool have a throw-in on this near side, and Blackpool are heading towards the end of their 19th game away from home, and so far they've only scored 16 goals. And 6 of those came in 3-3 draws away to the top two, Burnley and Sheffield United.
Yep.
Which just sums up the championship in a nutshell. Maxwell clears long downfield for them, flicked on towards Carey, but it's claimed again by O'Leary.
He's done well though, Rodgers. I think it's been a bright introduction for him, because he's quite good with the ball at his feet. We saw that curling effort earlier, albeit it was straight down the goalkeeper's throat, but nonetheless he's an outlet aerially. If they're not the biggest, Blackpool certainly up top, the goalkeeper Maxwell can aim for him, and he can win his fair share in the air, as he did just then.
Flighted forward by Maxwell for Blackpool again. Nelson will charge forward, picks up a loose ball, and his crossfield ball deflects off Fireman, loops high into the air. Hamilton, well, he claimed the ball there thinking it was a throw-in, but he actually caught the ball when he was still inside the playing area, so it's a free kick, and that really sums up Blackpool's performance.
Well, and Hamilton, since he's come on, he had the miss kick, didn't he, when he was in the box, when it looked like all he had to do was slot the ball across the area and completely missed his cue and then fell over. I mean, tough afternoon for Mick, standing watching on for that.
Yeah,
it must be exasperating at times. It must be.
Well, I saw on the TV monitor at half-time the look on his face when Jerry Yates missed that chance in the first half, just head bowed.
Yeah, he knows he won't get many. As we said, they're not going to have a lot of the ball here, as they often do in games. So you might get one or two chances, and you just got to take and be clinical.
Well, they've not created too much here today, and they're 1-0 down with 9 minutes to play here on Talksport 2. Cornick now gets the better of Thompson down the right. Low ball slid into the penalty area. It's cleared away as far as Scott, and he drives in the second goal. And the championship's most promising teenager strikes again for Bristol City. And that seals 3 points, 3 welcome points for Nigel Pearson's side. But for Mick McCarthy's Blackpool, the relegation trapdoor creaks further open. Bristol City 2, Blackpool 0.
Well, this comes from CJ Hamilton's mistake. It's a costly one, because it's a long ball put over the top. Eventually it comes to Cornick, who puts the cross in. It's a poor clearance right to the edge of the box, to the one player you probably don't want it to fall to, and that is Alex Scott. Takes one touch to set himself with his right foot, and then he just blasts it low into the left-hand corner. Goalkeeper doesn't move. There's a couple of players that try to block it, but I mean, he makes no mistake. He's got that sort of quality. It's a low finish, drags it across goal, and superb from Alex Scott.
Omar Taylor-Clark will be coming on shortly for Bristol City. Only 19 years of age, young Welshman, and he'll replace Andy King.
He makes no mistake, does he, Scott, when he gets it? He rifles that into the bottom corner.
Only his second league goal of the season, but he, alongside Mehmeti, has been the real class act here today.
Yeah, he has. I mean, you would say the clearance from Blackpool was a dreadful one, you know, straight into his path, but nonetheless, he makes no mistake. And that is something, well, probably clubs are looking at him, you know, they'll go back to, I think it was a goal against West Brom, and you know, I can't remember one of the games that he scored in, and Nigel Pearson saying, well, it's kind of about time, you know, i.e., yeah, we need goals as well, right? He needs goals as well as all his guile, you know, that's for sure. And maybe other clubs, Premier League clubs might look at that and go, well, you know, great in possession, looks at outstanding talent, you know, what's his output, what's his assist, what's his goals like?
Well, Andy King's having words with Curtis Fleming down there as he headed off. I'm not sure whether it's just an experienced player offering 1 or 2 points to the management, but seems to be okay in fairness.
Well, you'd be a brave man taking Curtis Fleming, because Curtis is a great lad, very lovely, so calm and assured, but I tell you, I wouldn't want to take him on, because he can certainly look after himself.
No, I interviewed him earlier this season following a game, and he still looks in terrific shape.
I think he is, yeah. Little powerhouse.
7 minutes to play, 2-0 to Bristol City. And the Seagulls are back. And on this evidence, Blackpool are going down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, you know, Mick was talking before the game about needing something, and as we touched on, something here, like a point would have been a decent result going into two home games. But, you know, once Yates missed that chance, you couldn't see him getting that many more. Trying to absorb a lot of pressure, and you know, Bristol City got a lot of technical players, you know, on their day they're a really good team. Varman coming in, strengthened them even further. Wells up top, those two work well. You know, the quality they've got. Cornick, we touched on him at the start, you know, he comes on and has an impact on the game.
Taylor-Clark now plays it wide to this near side. Vyman with a high ball into the penalty area, and just for a moment it looked like Maxwell had been caught out and it was going to sneak over his head, but it's just over the top.
I think in the end he was trying to pick out Naki Wells, his teammate. Those two again, he just raises an arm to, you know, sort of apologise that I was trying to find you, sorry mate, you know, put too much on the cross.
This will be one win in 19 for Blackpool. They made a relatively decent start to the season, 6 wins in their first 17. Picked up those draws away from home against Blackpool, against Burnley rather, and Sheffield United, scoring a few goals, but things are very quickly unravelled as the free kick for them from the far side is hit high into the penalty area, and once again it is overhit straight into the arms of Max O'Leary. 1 or 2 Blackpool fans have chosen to head for the exit, and you can't really blame them, because in the second half they've not looked like scoring.
No.
O'Leary clears downfield again. Thompson does well to win the ball in the air. Scott is challenged, and then Taylor-Clark plays a good ball forward looking for Cornick, and sliding across to make the challenge is Thornley, and Bristol City have a corner as they look to pile on the agony here, and Blackpool need to be careful that their goal difference isn't completely shot. It is currently the best of the bottom 3, which is not saying much, but it is something. Bournemouth still leading Liverpool by a 1-0 inside the final 3 minutes at Dean Court. 2-0 to Bristol City here. And the corner's played short to Mehmeti, who drives it low into the near post, flicked away by Thornley. Bristol City with 16 shots on goal, but only 3 on target.
Well, I think this is Taylor-Clark's debut, right?
League debut, yeah.
Yeah, middle of the park, so that's another one. You know, in a nice position, I think, 2-0 up, and it looks like the game's, you know, in your control, so Nigel Pearson has the luxury of doing that. It's another one. come through the ranks, and I think the under-21 team are doing very well. I think they're second in their table at the minute, so...
Well, I suppose if you've got a 19-year-old in Alex Scott running the show, it maybe puts pressure and a bit of impetus behind the other young players in the team, thinking, I could be left behind here if I don't improve and don't kick on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess lots of players develop at different rates and different times, but certainly Scott is the flag bearer for, you know, their academy. And well, there's been plenty before that. You know, you don't have to list them all. They've certainly done quite well in the transfer market, but as we've touched on earlier, the losses are so reliant on actually doing well in the transfer market, getting players through and then selling them on.
So many clubs now, due to the changes in the academy statuses, don't have the opportunity to maybe develop as many young players as they did previously, because they get snapped up very quickly by the bigger clubs at younger and younger ages, particularly in the lower divisions. You do have one or two outliers like Exeter, who have a fine academy, and they develop young players and have kept that club going by developing Ollie Watkins and Ethan Ampadu and Matt Grimes. But for so many clubs, they already find that the best talent has already been picked off, as Carey comes through for Blackpool, fires it in from the edge of the penalty area, but it's over the top.
Well, he's toe punted this, you know, a bit of composure, bearing down on goal. If he can just bend this into the far corner, it's a really good opportunity, that. I mean, they've had their chances. It might have been fleeting, but one or two, and you know, they haven't hit target. They haven't even tested the goalkeeper. And coming back to that, I mean, Josh Bowler was at QPR. You know, if he didn't go to Everton, for example, as a kid for, I think it was, big money, you know, maybe 50, 100 appearance under your belt, you know, you might then have a stepping stone to a club where you can realistically play. I think for Alex Scott and players like that here, if they can stay, get 50, 100 plus games under their belt, you know, have a real body of work, rather than, you know, an odd a handful of appearances before then being snapped up.
Well, Naki Wells will now be replaced by Sam Bell for Bristol City, but lower division clubs now, many of them have dispensed with the academies, because they think, why spend the money on a player we could then lose for nothing? I mean, I'm commentating on the UEFA Youth League coming up this week, and I'm doing Liverpool. They're playing away to Sporting of Portugal in the quarter-finals. They've got a player called Luis Kumas, who was one of their best under-19s players, son of Jason Kumas, who I'm sure you played against in the Championship. Came through as a young player at Liverpool. Just break off as Vyman makes the run forward now, and he's got support square, and it's Mehmeti, and Mehmeti now can come in field, fires in the shot, deflected. Vyman may recover, and he's hooked it back across the face of goal. Here is Mehmeti again, encouraged to shoot. He does shoot. It pings into the penalty area, and it's cleared away by Blackpool again. Yates slips, and it's all the way back towards Vyner. Kumas Jr. started at Tranmere, went to Liverpool, and because Liverpool and Tranmere have a decent working relationship, Tranmere got 15 grand. Back in the day, he would have developed at Tranmere, maybe got into the first team, and they could have got £2 million for him, and that's the difference.
I know.
Anyway, we're not going to solve it here today, but you can see why clubs struggle to develop young players, and fans ask where are the young players, and the fact is they've signed for the bigger club up the road. But Bristol City do have a number of fine youngsters. Here's another, Sam Bell, coming forward now down the right-hand side, cuts in field towards the edge of the penalty area, left foot curler from him, and it's not too far over the top, and Blackpool here are rapidly unravelling.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think they'll probably take the medicine here. 2-0 down, doesn't get any worse. Worth a strike from Sam Bell. I mean, rather than going for a kick, it looked like he just put his foot through that. I mean, Vyman bent his effort in a similar sort of place on the pitch really beautifully in the top corner. Sam Bell went for power there. It's always rising over the bar.
And we are into 3 minutes of added time here. They're into added time as well on the south coast, where Bournemouth still lead Liverpool by 1-0. Mo Salah has missed a penalty in the second half, and Bournemouth are heading for 3 absolutely crucial points at the bottom of the Premier League. They'll be out of the relegation zone. Celtic have beaten Hearts 3-0 in the Scottish Cup quarter-final at Tynecastle, and Blackpool are about to lose here to Bristol City Dougal, though, wins it back on the far side, but used his arm to bring the ball under control as rain begins to fall here steadily, and it will be a free kick for Bristol City. And they will remain in mid-table with this victory, but Blackpool will remain mired in the relegation zone. And at the moment, none of the bottom three are really showing the signs of life you would hope to see from a team fighting relegation with 10 games to play. A long clearance downfield from O'Leary, just bobbles out of play. 19,070 the crowd here at Ashton Gate today, which is actually one of the lowest of the season, but maybe that's not surprising. Long clearance downfield again from Maxwell for Blackpool. Cleared away by Viner. Now Scott, who scored the second goal. And that's it. A welcome win for Bristol City, but another damaging defeat for Blackpool. Both goals in the second half. A superb curler from Andreas Weimann, and then Alex Scott, the teenager, wrapping things up in the closing stages. And on the day, Blackpool looked like a side heading for relegation. Full time, Bristol City 2, Blackpool 0.